Hi guys! If you ever ask me what is my favorite cartoon franchise, I would probably go away and think about it for like 2 seconds and come back with this answer. I'm not quite sure I could choose between the Looney Tunes characters and the Hanna-Barbera properties, because I grew up on these cartoons and I have a very personal and emotional connection to them, and I just love them and I could watch anything. But not necessarily everything is ready or could be a good idea to reboot it. But DC thinks a little different way, and they created Scooby Apocalypse. When DC announced the reimagination of these classical characters, I was like, okay, but who the hell needs it? And then it turned out, because of the numbers of the sales, started going a tiny bit down. DC was a bit scared from Scooby-Doo, and the Flintstones and Rocky Race are not that popular than it used to be, and they thought it's about time to do something really cool, really modern, and something very different with it. And your reaction as a lifelong fan is something like this: what the fuck? My reaction was even worse. I mean, there was broken windows, broken doors, and I'm pretty sure a house collided next to me. So I don't know how loud I was, but it was just the worst idea what I ever heard. When they came out with the first character drafts, I was like, what the heck is wrong with these people? And my optimism started to turn into a completely different thing. And then finally they came out with these titles, and I have to say is not necessarily that bad than I would expected it, which is, I think, a good sign, but it's obviously nothing like Scooby-Doo, while it still looks like Scooby-Doo. Let me explain myself. So, here is the deal with this Scooby Apocalypse thing. The characters looks like a modern version of Scooby, Shaggy and the gang, but they just looks like in a very different way like Scooby-Doo characters. And they're not going after mysteries anymore, they try to survive the apocalypse. And first issue was a proper pilot. I mean, it has every single problem what you would have with a pilot. When they introducing you the characters, when they introducing you the story, it was just too much talking and not really much character building or showing different sides of the characters, or actually giving us any really interesting point of view of this new apocalypse world, except maybe the last page, which was pretty interesting and is definitely a great hook. And I don't think I'm hooked, which works very good for Archie's afterlife, not necessarily will work for Scooby-Doo and his friends. But in a very weird way, if you can pull out your mind the fact that these are Scooby-Doo characters and these are the characters who you know and who you like, then maybe, but just maybe, you could enjoy a little tiny bit of this apocalypse world. Because the characters looks very different. And occasionally it could be a good thing, occasionally it is a bad thing. Why you feel you know these characters when you don't really know them, because these are different characters. I mean, Velma works as an IT for a secret agency or something like that. Daphne is a super reporter whose career went down in the sink, and Fred is his camera guy. And we have Shaggy, who is a dog trainer, who's working at the exact same place where Velma does, but they only know each other because Shaggy is a pain in the ass for every single person in this planet. And I think that's the reason why we actually like him. The thing what I really enjoy in any Hanna-Barbera reimagination or rebooted version or anything like that is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo always the same. They always go for food, and food is always more important for them than anything else. And they have great humor, and it looks like the perfect best friends who you always want to have. Especially if you are a dog person, because you would definitely want dogs like Scooby-Doo, because he is really funny. I don't really think I have more problems than this isn't a Scooby-Doo story. This isn't necessarily a reimagination of a Scooby-Doo story. This is a completely different thing, where the characters looks like just your favorite Scooby-Doo characters, which is alright. but they are not necessarily the Scooby-Doo characters who you wanna read about, because the thing why Scooby-Doo was always popular in his 4 decades history, it's pretty much because he's always the same, and you don't really want to read any other story or any other reimagination with them than the ones which you know, because they work in the best in that way. And I think even the first issue was more like a team building session, it still wasn't as good as it could be. But like I said, if you can reconnect from the fact that these are Scooby-Doo characters with their Scooby-Doo names, and you technically reading a reimaginated version of Scooby-Doo, then yes, you can enjoy this story, because the story feels good, the potential is definitely in, it has a little Scooby-Doo touch in it, but I would say they pretty much stole the basics of those characters and their relationship between each other, then reimaginated the whole thing, which can be a good thing, which can be a bad thing, is depend on which side would you choose at the end. The only thing what I can say is it's definitely worth to read, it's a definitely interesting experience as a reader, as a Scooby-Doo fan, as a Hanna-Barbera fan, and I really believe this can be something, and hopefully if you're not connecting this Apocalypse story to the Scooby-Doo stories which you know, then maybe you can enjoy it and you can have a lot of fun, because it looks something which could turn out pretty damn good. So let's give it a shout and let me know what do you think about it. And of course, if you read Future Quest, what I read last week, and I think I just said it last time that it wasn't that bad than I expected, but it was also just a pilot session, so it wasn't really good, but at least it gave you more from the story in the long run than what you get from Scooby Apocalypse. So let me know what do you think of these new Hanna-Barbera reimaginated versions, and let it discuss in the comments below. Till next time, read everything!